What up, motherfuckers? It's the hater, and I'm back up in this bitch. We're gonna be talking about AEW Winter is Coming. You know what I'm saying? We already did the preview. Now let's talk about the actual review of this show, right? I'm gonna be honest, you know what I mean? This was a pretty great show. Like, overall, this was a really good show, I thought. I would say that, honestly, it was probably the best AEW thing they've ever done. You know what I mean? Including like the pay-per-views and anything. This was the best one by far, I think. So the first thing that we had was the Battle Royal for the AEW Dynamite Diamond Ring. But I had forgotten the rules, and I had forgotten that the way it works is that two people win the match, and then they have a singles match down the line. So I actually enjoyed this match quite a lot, if I'm being honest, because a lot of things happened that didn't have to happen, but that happened nonetheless, and that I think really set the tone for a lot of things. Like, there was very few lost moments here, you know? First up, Isaiah Cassidy gets eliminated. They said he was eliminated by Matt Hardy, right? Which is consistent with Matt Hardy's new character, where he's like this arrogant asshole type of guy, you know what I mean? So that's kind of cool, right? So he eliminated his friend, basically, and that was kind of neat. It was like, okay, like, I don't know if the other guy saw Matt Hardy eliminate him, and that's kind of how the story played out, it looked like. But I thought that was a pretty interesting way to start the Battle Royal going, right? Then, like, irrelevant people like Serpentico and Luther got eliminated. Afterwards, I think Matt Sydal was next. And then Shawn Spears, who sucks. I mean, Shawn Spears, like, JR keeps saying, like, he looks like $1 million. But let's be honest, this guy is a failure. Like, he sucks completely. He wasn't good in NXT. He wasn't good in SmackDown in 2006. He's not good right now. There's nothing about this guy. He's just such a generic jobber. Like, Shawn Spears. I mean, come on. Even the name is, like, generic. But anyways, he gets eliminated by Scorpio Sky. Then he loads up his glove. And then he beats up Scorpio Sky. He hits him in the head. And the Scorpio Sky gets eliminated. Now, I just want to remind everyone of something that just popped into my head right now. Remember when Shawn Spears was getting a little bit of a push, and he came out on the pay-per-view or whatever it was as the chairman of AEW, and he had blue contacts on? Like, I cannot get past that. That was such a horrible idea. It was so poorly thought out. And it's harken back to my video about how everyone's a geek, right? It really proves that someone like Shawn Spears is just a dweeb. He's just a nerd. Like, he looked at himself in the mirror with the blue contacts, and he thought, yeah, this is cool. No, motherfucker, it ain't cool. It sucks ass. So anyways, then Scorpio Sky got eliminated, like I just said. And Reynolds and John Silver got eliminated. Interestingly enough, when John Silver got eliminated, the fans started booing. You know what I mean? People, I think he was eliminated by Adam Page, and the fans were like, yo, what the hell? Like, we like John Silver. You know what I'm saying? I like John Silver too. Then Adam Page was strangely enough eliminated. I thought he was going to win the whole thing, you know? And after that, a bunch of dumb shit happened, and Miro started eliminating people left and right. And in the end, it was Miro, Sammy Guevara, Wardlow, who else? MJF, and Jungle Boy, right? Orange Cassidy was, like, on the outside as well. So, you know, he had one of those situations where, like, he was thrown out but never eliminated. And you know how that always works, right? So anyways, long story short, the Inner Circle just triple teams Miro, gets him out. Jungle Boy tries to fight back, but he gets eliminated by MJF, who also eliminates Sammy Guevara, like, simultaneously, right? So now it's MJF and Wardlow, and MJF thinks it's over. But Wardlow remembers that Orange Cassidy up in this bitch is outside, right? Now, I thought this was great, because typically in every Royal Rumble ever, or every Battle Royal ever, the person sneaks in. Like, people always forget, you know what I mean? You would think that once in a while, someone would remember, oh shit, that guy's not eliminated. Just like every fan remembers, you know? So I thought this was great. I'm like, okay, Wardlow remembers that this guy wasn't eliminated. It really puts over the idea that wrestlers are paying attention, you know? So Wardlow goes in and grabs the Orange Cassidy, right? Here's where the match went to shit. Orange Cassidy eliminated Wardlow. Now, I understand they're not going to have MJF versus Wardlow because, like, it looks like I think MJF is going to win the second Dynamite Diamond Ring in a row. But, it, like, obviously you can't have MJF versus Wardlow because it's too soon for Wardlow to, like, you know, turn on MJF, I guess, right? But the way that this happened was just ridiculous. Like, Orange Cassidy, like, they know he's outside and he comes in and he eliminates Wardlow, like, pretty easily. You know what I mean? He hits the orange punch a couple of times and eliminates Wardlow. I'm just thinking to myself, like, what's the point? Other moments of note here were Miro versus Wardlow. Wardlow is bigger than Miro, and Wardlow is better than Miro. You know what I'm saying? I keep saying it. I don't know why no one listens to me. But Wardlow is obviously a star. He's a star in the making. You know what I mean? It's not MJF that they have to, like, consider. It's Wardlow. All right? He's got what it takes. You know, he has, like, a Batista, like, presence to him. You know what I mean? I don't know if he's going to be good on the mic or not, but he doesn't need to be. You know, he has presence. MJF just sucks. There's no point in him whatsoever. Orange Cassidy sucks. These feels like two jobbers fighting for something that now means nothing to your boy. You know what I'm saying? Next up, we had Chris Jericho. He comes out with Hager and Ortiz, and it's him versus Frankie Kazarian. Even though this match apparently was 10 minutes long, it felt way longer for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe because I had absolutely no interest in this garbage. You know what I'm saying? Jericho eventually wins with Judas Effect, and immediately, Inner Circle starts fighting amongst each other. Jericho declares that next week they're going to have like a meeting, basically. And from that point, we're going to see whether Inner Circle will break up or not, right? Which is really stupid because the storyline up until now was, will they allow MJF to join? MJF joined and now they might break up? Like, what the hell was the point? You know what I mean? Like, Jericho should have seen this coming, right? So the only way I see this going is like they tease like a breakup and then they stay together, right? Which is something that an AEW fan would love, but I wouldn't particularly enjoy this shit if you ask me, you know what I'm saying? Next up, we have Britt Baker, DMD, versus Layla Hirsch. Legit Layla Hirsch. Layla Hirsch, I think, might be sub 5 foot tall. This girl, I don't think, is taller than the top rope. You know what I'm saying? So this is just ridiculous. Like, her being a legit Layla Hirsch is preposterous. This girl is like 4'10" or something like that, right? I'm not even exaggerating. I think she really is like 4'10". So, like, nothing against her, you know what I mean? And it's not her fault that she's short, but it's ridiculous. Like the same ridiculousness that happens in the men's division also can happen in the women's division, right? Dr. Britt Baker is like a tall girl, you know what I mean? Like, I don't care how legit Layla Hirsch is, right? Dr. Britt Baker just looks bigger and more intimidating. And it's as simple as that. Even if Layla Hirsch is like, I don't know, the Vanderlei Silva of like short women, you know? I cannot believe that she would be able to beat Dr. Britt Baker, right? Appearance is important for that reason, right? Because you're never going to know in wrestling, right? I was recently listening to an interview with Tyson Fury, who I think is one of the coolest people ever, right? And Tyson Fury said that he would rather be fat and out of shape, but be able to go 12 rounds and fight, than look like an Adonis and gas out in 5 rounds. Obviously, right? That's common sense. But then people take that kind of mentality, right? The fact that there's people like Tyson Fury walking around that are like 6'9", 320 pounds, and kind of fat, right? Sometimes kind of fat, right? But they're athletic and they can kick the shit out of people, right? And they're like, oh, looks don't matter. No. That's an anomaly, right? That's an anomaly. It's a highly trained super athlete, right? He can look however he wants. He gets the opportunity to back it up, right? If you looked at him and Deontay Wilder, you might think that Deontay Wilder looks like he's like the stronger guy, right? But no, he's not the stronger guy. He's not the faster guy. He's not better than him in any way. And then he beats the shit out of Deontay Wilder and proves that his physique is okay because he was able to win. In a fake sport, you can't really do that. So people like Layla Hirsch, she's like the Marco Stunt of women. The only thing that they can do with her, in my opinion, is team her up in like a weird romantic couple with Marco Stunt. I don't really see any other way around for Layla Hirsch. I ain't screwing around, you know. I had forgotten what she looked like, but the facts speak for themselves. The facts speak for themselves. You know what I'm saying? I thought she was gonna get like a push or something, just because Dr. Britt Baker, I mean, she hasn't really done anything her entire time in AEW, so I thought this might have been the opportunity for Layla Hirsch to get a push until I realized who the fuck she was, you know? Next up, we had obviously the best segment of the night, but not necessarily a great match, you know? It was Darby Allin versus Cucky Rhodes versus Team Taz, Ricky Starks, and Powerhouse Hobbs. Just the same way that Ricky Starks was growing on me, Powerhouse Hobbs is also growing on me. I don't know what it is about this guy, but he's got this weird face, right? He has the face of this, like, it's like a half nerd, half retarded guy face. So you see him and you're like, what the hell's going on in this guy's mind? He looks like a moron, right? But, and also, like, when I think it was JR was talking about Powerhouse Hobbs, and he was saying a lot of good things about him. He was like, this guy can bench press like 475, and this is the kind of shit I want to hear. You know, Powerhouse Hobbs looks like an athlete, but he's not like, you know, he doesn't have like a John Cena physique. He doesn't even have like a Big E physique, right? He has like a much sloppier, flabbier physique, but you can tell that he's athletic. But talking about his accolades makes me think, holy shit, this guy's strong as shit. I cannot bench press 475 pounds. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot. That's a pretty good bench press, right? So I'm thinking to myself, this is cool. He can bench press more than like probably anyone there except for maybe Rusev, right? Like, I don't think and Wardlow, right? No one else is like strong enough to bench press more than about 230 in that entire company, if you ask me, right? So, and I guess, motherfuckers, I guess maybe the Murder Hawk monster there. But you understand what I'm saying, right? So that was a good way to put him over, I thought. I did not like the way the match ended. Darby Allin was getting his ass kicked the whole time. Like, he was just getting bludgeoned by Team Taz. And eventually, he counters two, like, backdrops, right? One from Ricky Starks and one from Powerhouse Hobbs, and then falls backwards and tags in Cody. Cody then comes in and beats the shit out of both Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs, right? Which is ridiculous because Powerhouse Hobbs would destroy Cody. But nonetheless, right? It wasn't that bothered me. What bothered me was that was the end of the match. Like, Cucky Rhodes just beats them up, like, just takes care of them, basically. Throws them to the outside, right? Then goes and hits, like, I think, like a moonsault or something, or like a crossbody. No, sorry, he hits the Cody Cutter. He hits the Cody Cutter on, I believe, Ricky Starks, and then dives to the outside, right, to take out Powerhouse Hobbs, right? The issue with this is that, like, they didn't counter any of Cody's moves. Cody just tagged in, beat the shit out of both of them, right? Darby Allin tagged Cody before he did the Cody Cutter, and he hit the coffin drop on Ricky Starks and won the match. You know, I think it wasn't Ricky Starks. I don't think it was on Powerhouse Hobbs. And so I'm just like, what the hell? This was like you think he tagged in Hulk Hogan. He tagged in Cucky Rhodes, you know? So I didn't really like that. Afterwards, Team Taz starts beating the shit out of the good guys. There's a miscommunication. Eventually, what's his face? Brian Cage comes in, hits a couple of F5s, and there's a part where Will Hobbs is supposed to hit Goldust with a belt, but like they really screw it up, so they're gonna hit Cody with the belt, and then the lights go off, motherfucks. All right, I don't give a shit. My friend spoiled this for me by accident because I was a little bit behind. I was like 30 minutes behind the show, and he spoiled it for me, so I didn't have the opportunity to mark out like I normally would have, right? But Sting comes out, motherfucks. Sting, the Stinger, is now in AEW. This is by far the greatest acquisition that AEW could have ever had, right? Now, I hope Sting has a couple of matches. If he doesn't, it's a waste, you know? Otherwise, Jericho remains the #1 acquisition. But Sting is a big deal, motherfucks. Especially now that Undertaker retired, Sting is one of the few, like, you know, resounding icons. Like, Sting is probably the most WCW guy out of all WCW guys ever, right? And to see Sting on TNT again, 21 or 20 years later, whatever it is, all right, 19 years later, I guess, right, is incredible, right? I don't give a shit what people think. It's incredible. Now, Sting is obviously above all this nonsense, right? But it was cool to see Sting face-to-face with Darby Allin, for example, right? Because Darby Allin clearly is going for a Sting, that type of thing there, right? It was cool to see him with Goldust and Cucky Rhodes. It's not cool to see him now feud with Ricky Starks. You know what I'm saying? Because you know that's who he's going to be wrestling. It's going to be him versus Ricky Starks. You know, the only guy there that could probably, like, not destroy Sting by accident, you know? I'm pretty sure, like, Powerhouse Hobbs and definitely Brian Cage would probably just break Sting in half by accident. You know what I'm saying? So, the fact that Sting didn't attack anyone, I don't like. The way that he came in, I don't like. You know, I think Sting should have debuted. Lights go off. He just appears in the middle of the ring, right? No video, none of that horseshit like fake snow. He just appears in the middle of the ring, right? And another thing that sucked, when Sting appeared, Excalibur kind of marked out a little bit, but JR reacted as if like, I don't know, as if Peter Avalon, the librarian Peter Avalon came out, right? JR reacted as if Tully Blanchard came out. This is Sting. This is like one of the easily top 10 stars, right, of all time. Sting is a legend. He's a legend in WCW, and somehow he also became a legend in TNA, right? He had great matches in TNA, great storylines, reinvented himself twice at least, right? So this is Sting. This is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. This is on level with Undertaker appearing on AEW. It's the same caliber of wrestler. And if Undertaker appeared, best believe JR will be losing his mind, right? But it's Sting, so for some reason JR's like, oh, there's Sting. Oh, the legend Sting is here. Like JR, like everything I said in my JR is overrated video is 100% true. JR is overrated as shit. This was an opportunity where anyone who knows anything about wrestling, right, understood how important this was. This is arguably the most important thing that's ever happened in this piece of shit company, right? And JR, instead of like treating it with the respect and gravitas that it deserves, JR is just like, oh, there's Sting. Oh, he looks great. Sting's here. Like, what the hell was that? Like, this is Sting. It's not S.A. Rios. It's not the return of S.A. Rios, right? It's not Al Snow making an appearance. You know, he treated it as if it was like Albert. Oh, Albert's back in AEW. What's Albert doing here, Taz? You know what I'm saying? That's not what happened here. It was not good. But obviously, it doesn't detract too much from the fact that Sting debuted, right? I think this moment was so great that it should have probably been the main event. Like Darby Allin and Cucky Rhodes should have main evented the show just to close the show out with Sting. Later, I realized that couldn't really happen just because of the way the main event went, right? But the match wasn't that great. Thus far, none of the matches were great. The Battle Royal I thought was really good for a Battle Royal, but it wasn't this great match or anything, right? The Jericho match wasn't good. The Britt Baker match wasn't good. The Darby Allin and Cucky Rhodes match wasn't good. And in my opinion, the Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley match wasn't that great either. It was okay. I did skip some of it, I'm not gonna lie, so maybe I missed the best match ever. I skipped about 15 minutes of it, I think, because it started off so slow, you know? And like I could tell because I was watching it on DVR, and I could tell that like there was like 30 minutes left, so I knew it was gonna be a long-ass match, right? So I skipped around. The finish of the match I didn't like. I did not like it, man. You know, Kenny Omega, his rebranding as the cleaner Kenny Omega now, like his rebranding, has kind of had the implication that he is now on another level, right? Not that he has to cheat to win, but that he has kind of found that other gear that he lost when AEW started, right? Doesn't matter. Long story short, Don Callis comes out. Dean Ambrose attacks him, justifiably so, according to the announcers. And this causes a distraction, right? Now, the announcers, like Excalibur and JR, they act as if Don Callis came in and stabbed Dean Ambrose in the neck. And then that's how Kenny Omega won the match. He caused the most passive of distractions. So this kind of overreaction is ridiculous. Like, nobody reacts that way when Jericho does it, right? Nobody reacts that way when anyone else does it, right? But for some reason, like, they want to really put over the fact that, like, this is a big deal. It's a big heel turn, right? Kenny Omega and Don Callis, right? So I didn't really particularly like the way that the match ended. It wasn't horrible, don't get me wrong. The match was all right. Kenny Omega, to his credit, did like 3 or 4, V-triggers in a row near the end of the match, and he didn't do one taunt in between them. Maybe this is something that is indicative of the cleaner returning. Fewer taunts, much more serious and more heelish, right? Eventually, Cucky Omega puts Moxley up on the one-winged angel, and there was a moment where I was like, what if he kicks out? You know, just as a false finish. Then I knew Kenny Omega was going to win the match, especially at this point. I knew it all along, as you might remember when I said it in my preview. But I knew that Kenny Omega was going to win, and he did. Ultimately, Kenny Omega is now the champion. So then, Don Callis and Kenny Omega are running out of the arena, right? They get interrupted by, I think, Alex Marvez, one of these jabrones that works for the company, right? And then he's like, what the hell's going on, Don? What have you done? And Don Callis is like, I'll see you on Tuesday. I'll explain to you on Tuesday, right? So automatically, I'm like, all right, Don Callis is a smart guy, but maybe he just really fucked up and he meant Wednesday, right? Which would be weird because yesterday was a Wednesday, and it's like you would know that next week is a Wednesday, but that's not here nor there. So Alex Marvez or whatever is like, what? Like, Dynamite is on Wednesdays, right? And then Don Callis is like, me and Kenny are going to be on Impact Wrestling, motherfucks. Impact Wrestling on Tuesday to address this. Now, why they're going to go on Impact Wrestling is unclear. It would appear that the storyline is that, like, now that Kenny Omega is champion, either he's going to hold the title hostage, or clearly he and Don Callis wanted to run away as soon as possible, right? Then I think, Eddie Kingston came out, but he challenged Lance Archer to a match. I could hear it in the background. It didn't happen. So I can only assume that this will be something that happens next week and maybe starts the show. Who cares? The point is, this episode of AEW was awesome. It was awesome for basically two reasons. And both of those reasons are very important. Number one, it was treated like a big deal. This served as an episode where they had a title change, number one. And two, they announced two awesome announcements. One, that there is some sort of partnership between AEW and Impact. And more importantly, two, Sting, motherfuckers, Sting. So now, all of a sudden, I'm excited for AEW. Now, again, let's not get it twisted, right? I'm not saying it's fantastic or anything like that. This was one episode. I sure as shit know that they're going to drop the ball in the next few weeks, right? But we can look forward for a couple of weeks as to what the hell Sting's role is going to be. I can only assume that Sting will actually be treated like a legend, right? He will not be treated like Matt Hardy or Miro or Luke Harper, right? He will be treated as a legend because he actually is a legend. He's not this like make-believe. We have to pretend that like Luke Harper is a legend. You know what I'm saying? He is really a legend. You know? And I imagine how cool it would have been if Sting was the Exalted One. Think about that shit, motherfuckers. That would have just really catapulted everyone in that piece of shit faction, Dark Order. Nonetheless, that's where we stand. It was a good episode. I look forward to next week's episode only because Sting's going to be there. And if I had Access TV, I would watch Kenny Omega on TNA Impact. I'm pretty sure I can watch it on Twitch or whatever the hell they show their shows, but I'll try to figure something out, you know? So anyways, motherfuckers, that's what I have to say. What were your thoughts? Let your boy know in the comment, motherfuckers.